This podcast represents the opinions of Tyler Barber and his guests to the show. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for the medical advice of a licensed counselor or physician. The listener should consult with a mental health professional in any matters relating to their health or the health of a child. This is the Mayo Lab Podcast with Tyler Barber.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Mayo Lab Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Barber, and today we're here with Madeline Mueller. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Madeline. I'm currently a senior, actually graduating this week as we're recording. So just excited to be wrapping up my time here. I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, so kind of took a leap and just decided to go out of state for college. Really didn't have any ties to Ole Miss. I just, wanted to experience something new for college. It's 4 years where I felt like I could go out and try to grow myself in ways that maybe I, hadn't been able to at home. And so just decided to take the leap and head out to Mississippi. And I'm very glad that I made that decision. Throughout college, I'm a psychology major, so getting to experience that, but also have been pre-occupational therapy as that's my next step in my schooling. But it's been really cool because I've kind of gotten to see both sides of, you've got that more like psychology-based background, but also seeing some of the sciences as well. I've gotten plugged in a few different places on campus. Some of the big things, Ole Miss Ambassadors, this has been a big thing that I've done. The Column Society, Special Olympics Ole Miss, so we have a Special Olympics chapter here that I've gotten plugged into. So just kind of tried to find some areas that fit my passions and have been super, super blessed throughout my 4 years here.
That's super cool. That's quite the resume.
Oh, gosh.
So also, with it being like towards the end of the year, I saw I think it was last week, that you got the award of, what was it, the Hall of Fame?
Yes. Yes. So that was a total surprise. So each year, 100 students get chosen for the University Who's Who Award. And so that's something that students, if eligible, can apply to. And then, some of our top students at the university are chosen for that award. And then from there, they choose 10 students to be inducted into our Student Hall of Fame. And so I'm just extremely grateful and honestly can't even believe that it's real, that has included me. And it's just been such a surreal kind of way to wrap up my time here. So.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. So sweet.
Could you tell us a little bit about, what that award meant to you personally?
Yeah, I think, it was like I said the word surreal, but it really was. I think back to just the homesick freshman that moved here and knew that I wanted to stay here and wanted to be here for 4 years, but was wondering, at times, had I made the right decision to kind of uproot and move and, do something that was definitely out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm glad I did. I wish I could go back and give that freshman a hug and say, it's all going to be okay. And freshman year is hard and college is hard. But I think that just having received that award, it really does just kind of show me that all of those times that I stepped out of my comfort zone and kind of took that leap of faith, were growing me in ways that I needed to be. And so I feel like it really is just a testament to the way that this university provides certain opportunities for students. It's kind of up to you, students, and it's up to you if you want to take those. But if you're able to, then, you never know what can come from it. So.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I want to kind of call back that resume statement that I made a second ago. So it seems like you got everything pretty much figured out. So it kind of caught me by surprise when we were talking in our meeting that you wanted to touch on imposter syndrome.
Yes.
What kind of, pushed you towards wanting to talk about that for today's podcast?
Yeah, I think that this is something that it's kind of the misconception that these high achieving students or these people that seem like they have it all together are exactly that. And, people would think from the outside, wow, they've got it together. They're doing all the things. They're, getting great grades and succeeding in various areas of campus. But I think that a lot of the time, it's also those students that are struggling internally and feeling like, gosh, I have to be this perfect perception of people, and people are looking up to me. And, if I have to take time for myself, maybe that's going to impact the opportunities that I have in the future. And so I think that that's such a misconception. And like I said earlier, just being able to go back to that freshman and tell her, it's okay and things are hard. But, it's been something that I've really struggled with throughout college, and honestly my whole life too, but I think I really started to realize what this was when I got to college, and kind of some of those feelings of anxiety really started ramping up, and just realizing that maybe these things aren't super normal, and like, okay, maybe I'm functioning, but am I like really living my life to the fullest if these things are kind of holding me down? And so I feel like that is that's why it just kind of tugs on my heart, because I definitely experienced that and still working through it. But
yeah, no, it's understandable and it's relatable too, because I mean, I deal with the same thing. I feel like that's a common struggle with a lot of people.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it in college students, and even though maybe it is becoming a more important conversation that people are starting to touch on, I feel like it's extremely important, because like I said, until somebody kind of was like, like, are you okay? I was kind of just thinking like, well, this is normal and I just kind of have to function. This is just how I'm going to live my life. Yeah. Whereas, so many people are probably going through the same things, and all they need is just somebody to say like, these things are not normal, and let's try to figure out how we can adapt to function better with them.
Definitely. So, and so my next question for you has got to be, what kind of, I guess, like thoughts or self-doubt come up for you, even when you're like getting an accomplishment? Like what is it that comes up in your head?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times it's just kind of that like self-doubt piece, and just telling myself like, what makes me more qualified, or, why is it that even with the Hall of Fame stuff, like, what made me, a better candidate than this other person? And I don't think that's, necessarily the healthiest way to look at it. I'm not going to say that I never look at things like that. I've definitely gotten better about trying to adjust my thinking, but I feel like that's just kind of the main thing. It's, you start to think like, but you kind of these what ifs start creeping in. So it's like, well, what if I am not, the most qualified for this role? Or what if somebody could be doing it better? Or what if I am in this role and people don't like me, or they don't, that's something that I've struggled with a lot, and really just, I think, is difficult in a college setting where a lot of the things you're doing is this like peer-to-peer leadership, where you are trying to lead a group of other people who are ultimately probably going through a lot of the same things. And I think that those kind of doubts really start to creep in when it comes to a lot of those.
Definitely. It kind of seems like, so you always think about when you hear the word comparison, of somebody that didn't get something and they're comparing themselves to the people that do.
Right.
But it seems like it works the other way around too.
It totally does.
Where you have the award, but then you compare yourself to other people and you're like, what makes me different? Why did I get
think,
it?
And that's why like this whole concept of imposter syndrome, like it's a real thing, and it's a real thing where people, kind of de-escalate these successes that they're getting, because they're like, well, why, I don't know, just kind of all of those pieces where it's like, well, why me, and why this and why that, and am I even deserving of it? And I hate that. I hate that, any student is going to achieve something and then think like, gosh, but what if I didn't deserve this, or what if somebody else deserved it more? Because I think everybody's deserving of things in their own ways, and that's just kind of, life and how things will be forever. So it's kind of that thing. But yeah, it's such an interesting concept to me, the concept of imposter syndrome, and the fact that, it can seem like, wow, I have all of these things. However, at the same time, I'm feeling deserving of none of them.
Yeah.
And I hate that, but
definitely.
Very, very real reality.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where, I guess, like the anxiety came up and it may have not hindered your success, but like kind of been at odds with it?
Totally. I think there's been plenty of times, even in just like I get an A on a test, and it's kind of like, okay, but then I have this next test that I have to already start worrying about. Like, I think this is applicable to so many students, and so many, it doesn't have to be these big, like leadership roles and things. It could be a small everyday life where this anxiety is creeping in, and all of a sudden something that you've been looking forward to is now something that like, oh gosh, there's so many things that could go wrong. And I don't know, I feel like everybody kind of experiences that in their own way, but I have definitely felt that, where there's been a time that I've been looking forward to something, or I've, received this award and should be super excited about it. But the thought of like, how are other people going to view me, or how am I, more deserving of this than somebody else, has kind of become the focus of that, rather than me living in that moment and being excited about this thing.
Yeah,
so.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. So I want to kind of shift focus a little bit onto maybe like, how have you learned to kind of cope with it, or how do you deal with it when it comes up, when you start feeling that way?
Yeah, I think it's so funny to me because like when I think about just the treatment process of a lot of these different things and really just a lot of the overall topic of mental health, I think something that I go back to is like the treatment process or, you know, this process of working through these emotions and things is not a linear process. Like, you know, you could progress plenty and then you're going to go back in one day, just, you know, you have a rough day and like, gosh, these anxieties keep coming in or the panic sets in or, you know, whatever that may look like for you. But I think that's one thing that I try to hold on to is that this process is not linear. So like I could be doing great for a while. And that's kind of my story. I feel like throughout the first few years of college, I was super, super overwhelmed with just all of these things. As I started to get older and realize like, okay, these things are normal in a college student and these are how we can kind of adjust. And these are some of the resources on campus, you know, all of the different things that our campus offers that can help me.
Yeah.
I felt like I finally got my feet under me. And now that I'm about to move on to this new stage of unknown in life, I feel like a lot of those things start kind of creeping back in.
Yeah.
But I also think that's okay. I think it's okay that we can, you know, progress and be doing really great for a little bit of time. And then maybe we have a few steps backwards. But it's kind of like, now how can we readjust our thinking? I also think just kind of surrounding yourself with a good support system. And I know that looks different for everybody, but it was kind of when I was finally willing to start opening up and talking to other people about these things that I was experiencing internally, where I felt like, okay, I have this support to then take the steps that I need to kind of work towards, you know, a solution to these things that I'm feeling.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, vulnerability goes a long way.
Such a long way. Yeah. And I'm somebody that, like I said earlier, I want to put out this persona that I have it all together, but I think it's so important not to, because it was kind of in those moments where people that I looked up to were that way, where they were like, I mean, yeah, I look like I have it together, but things, you know, this could be going on or this could be going on, when I realized like, oh, it's okay for me to feel that way too. So
yeah. I feel like it's easy to get caught in like the professionalism of things. Like you want to be externally, like when everybody looks at you, perfect. Right.
Because who doesn't want to look put together when they're, you know, being, looked at and viewed on a certain lens, I guess.
I agree. Yeah, you can see it when you get on Instagram. I mean, no one's going to post a bad picture of themselves.
No.
You know, everyone wants to look perfect.
Yeah.
And also back to the, I guess, like support systems and that conversation. It seems, at least like that's kind of what I've gotten from this season, and I've kind of developed this mindset, I guess, that mental health is very difficult to like find not a cure, but like a you know, a fix for, because a lot of it at the surface seems like you just say get over it, you know. All of it seems like it's like a quick fix, but it's never a quick fix. So it's crazy.
I think something that also just helped me with that like viewpoint of this, you know, process isn't linear and you've got to kind of have all of these different avenues lining up is, luckily I am a psychology major, and so I see that like in my classes and stuff too. But it is, and I think it's a conversation that maybe people are starting to have more, where it's like, you know, we're seeing this problem, especially on a college campus. I think obviously this is something that affects people from young age all the way up until, you know, they're elderly and retired and, you know, maybe still feeling all of these things. But I think college is such a unique time because it's the first time that people are out on their own, you know, away from what most people, you know, their home life may be their support system, or maybe kind of that those people that they're used to having that vulnerability with. Whereas then we kind of transition into this stage of college, and it's like,
the opposite
I know
of the
that
comfort zone.
Yes, and I know that I was kind of like, well, like I don't want to call my parents and not seem like I'm having a good time, because obviously like I was the one that wanted to move and go far away. But at the same time, it's like you have to, and it's hard because it's so much easier said than done to take that step and be like, I need help with XYZ, you know, whatever that looks like. But it's hard, and it's definitely something that I think needs to be a focus in a college setting for sure. So
I agree.
Glad y'all are doing this.
Yeah, me too, actually. I was looking forward to this conversation because I feel like, I mean, I even struggle with imposter syndrome when I'm sitting at work. I feel like I'm still like in high school or something. And I'm like, do I really need, like, do I deserve to be here?
That's something that I've heard a lot too. I mean, I think that imposter syndrome can literally go about every stage of life. Like I think about when I was a kid and like I'm in the school spelling bee, and it's like, what has, you know, qualified me to be here. But in the same time, I think as you grow, especially, you know, as I'm kind of looking towards graduation, a lot of my friends are going out and finding jobs. that's really scary too, especially to be like the youngest person in a workplace, or, you're in medical school or law school or whatever that is, where it's, difficult and you're expected to kind of, know all the things and be able to dedicate so much time to these projects. And you just start to feel like, gosh, like how am I even here right now? And I think it's normal, but it's something that so many people, I feel like, especially right now as we kind of end this school year, I feel like you're seeing a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah, it's like what we're talking about, where you leave home and you go to college. You left your comfort zone and then you go here. And then by senior year, I mean, this is pretty much a comfort zone as well.
It is.
And now you go again to somewhere completely different.
Yes.
And it's just like a cycle.
Yes, I know. And that's like, especially just this week, like feeling all the emotions of like, I'm wrapping up and, trying to pack things up to move out, and all of those different things that you have to do to prepare to live the next stage of life. But I mean, especially just thinking about like, I'm about to head back home, and like the last time I was home, I was in high school, and I loved high school, but I've really loved college. And so now to have to go back and try to adjust to living in this place that the last time I was there, I was 18 years old, and like definitely know a lot more now than I knew at 18. But I think that at the same time, I'll look back in 5 years and I'll know a lot more at 27 than I know at 22.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a part of life, and it's kind of like, how can we try to adjust to what that looks like? But I think that's another thing that I've really taken away from college, and hopefully can keep reminding myself in the next step, is that like, it's okay to be uncomfortable, and that's like a normal feeling.
Definitely.
So
that's what I like to tell people all the time. I just say like, comfort zones can be very detrimental to your growth, because if you just stay in them, then you're not gonna get out. You know?
So true.
And also, I completely forgot what I was about to ask you. Oh, yeah. So on your path through college, I kind of wanted to touch on this a little bit too. What were the things that kind of came up that made the anxiety kind of flare up? Like, where did those like events happen, and what made the anxiety come up?
Yeah. I mean, I think I struggled heavily in like that comparison aspect. So especially like in the times of years, the beginnings and the ends, where you're starting to like, have the involvement fairs and applying to things, and like you're starting a new class, or you're finishing a class where your grades maybe an A, maybe a B, and like this final is going to be the determining factor. But I think those times when it's like things start to get busy, and a lot of that, like me and 10 of my friends are all applying for the same role where they're only going to select 2 people. Yeah. That comparison really, really creeps in. And I think that's when the anxiety is the worst, when you start to kind of think all of those what if questions. And I think that a good way to kind of switch your thinking, and this is something that I've tried to be better about, somebody gave me this advice, is to think, rather than saying what if, how can I say even if? So like, even if I don't get this position, this is going to come from it, rather than like, what if I don't get it?
That's really good.
And yeah, it was something that I feel like when I started thinking in that way, I feel like it helps me kind of switch. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like, I am the first to say the what ifs still come in a lot. Like, especially right now as I'm wrapping up, just defended my senior honors college thesis, and I am about to walk the stage of graduation, and it's like, okay, but what if this next stage of life isn't what I'm expecting? Or what if I don't thrive the way that I did in college? But I think instead of asking those questions, that's when I can kind of add in that. But even if those things are true, there's something great that can come from it as well.
Yeah. So. That was perfect. And I think it actually perfectly answered the next question I'm going to ask, but I'm still going to ask it. Okay. Because just in case you had something else you wanted to say for it. But if you could talk to a freshman right now, or even freshman you, or probably really, let me rephrase that actually. If you could talk to a student right now that feels like they may be faking it or just having problems the same way that you have, what would you tell them?
I think just telling them like, your story and your journey is your own. And so I think taking out that comparison piece, once again, a lot easier said than done, but allowing you to just have your journey. I think that's the beauty of a college campus, especially ours. I think that there's just so many opportunities that lie, in so many areas, some that like I've probably never even heard of, or, like you could tell me something and I'll be like, wow, that's such a unique thing. And the same way that, I could tell you something. So I think just explaining to that person that's kind of feeling those things, like, this person's going to have their journey, you're going to have your journey, and your journey is perfectly fit for you. And I think that's something that I probably needed to hear as a freshman, especially just like coming in. And that could go for, freshman students, transfer students, just the first time that they're on this larger college campus.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you're going to do your things, other people are going to do their things. And I think another big piece of that is like rejection or, feeling like those anxieties of what if what I'm hoping doesn't come true could just be redirection into let me go down this other path and let me try something new, or let me, take advantage of this new opportunity that I never would have even thought was a possibility for me at first. So I think just hopefully reassuring, but also telling them that what you're feeling is normal, and probably everybody's experienced those feelings a time or two, even if they don't want to admit it. So I think I think really the fact that you're not alienated in those feelings or that experience is a big piece that I would try to stress.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I kind of want to wrap it up with one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you view success now? Like, what does success mean to you after getting through college and dealing with I completely forgot the name of what we were just talking about. Imposter syndrome.
I think for me, if I were to have to define success, this is hard because I think everybody could kind of define it differently. But I think to me, success would kind of equate to your personal happiness and fulfillment, but also the way that you're impacting others. So that's something that I've really tried to build my college experience and a whole career going into occupational therapy, which is a very hands-on career. But how am I impacting others? Am I doing a good job of that? And also am I being fulfilled in the way that my anxieties and whatever are taken care of while I'm still trying to pour into other people? Because I think you can pour into other people all you want, but if you have nothing left to give, what are you giving those people?
Yeah.
And so I think success, to me would just be, am I balancing these feelings? Am I filling myself up in a way that is allowing me to impact others?
Yeah.
So
that's a good answer. Are you happy? Making sure you're happy.
Are you fulfilled? Are you feeling like you've, accomplished all the things that you want to?
That's a really good answer. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, everybody, for the research report. Thank you so much for listening to the Mayo Lab podcast. We appreciate you spending time with us and being a part of the conversation. I'm Tyler Barber, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, keep the conversation going.